Good evening and welcome. It is 6 p.m. Thursday, November the 19th. Welcome to this special meeting. The chair calls this special meeting of Summers County Board of Education to order. Roll call item 1. Let the minutes reflect that all 5 members of the board are present in the building. At this time, Mr. Brogan, would you take care of invocation and pledge of allegiance for us?
Our Father in heaven, thank you for giving us another day. Thank you for your many blessings bestowed upon us. Father, we thank you for each one that showed up to the meeting tonight. I know that there's various concerns, and I hope that we can have a meeting of the minds and resolve any problems that we foresee. Father, we thank you so much for the students and the staff of Summers County. We pray that the decisions that we make will be for the betterment of the students and the staff. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3, approval of agenda and adjustments. The chair moves that all bills from the vendor Bowles Rice LLP, and it looks like there's 2 of them, that those be moved for consideration when we pay bills. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion on the floor by chair, second by Mr. Angel, that all Bowles Rice bills be separated out from the bills, and they will be considered separately. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. 5 votes in affirmative. All Bowles Rice bills will be pulled out and be paid separately from the other bills presented to us tonight. For item 3, approval agenda adjustments. Does anybody have any adjustments? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Chair seconds it. There's a motion on the floor by Vice President, seconded by the chair, that this board approve the agenda as presented to us, noting the previous bills that were separated out. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Let the minutes reflect 5 votes in the affirmative. This board has approved the agenda with aforementioned adjustments. That brings us to item 4, approval of bills. The chair moves. Well, first of all, does anybody have any questions about the bills? Mr. Angel? Everybody good?
I make a motion we pay the bills.
Second.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor that this board approve the paying of the bills as presented to us by the superintendent. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. By 5 votes in the affirmative, the board has approved the paying of the bills as presented to us by the superintendent. That brings us down to a paying of a bill from Bowles Rice LLP. That looks like it's $25.81.25. Is that what y'all see? Is there also over 20,000? Is there one?
For
25.
Bowles Rice?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the one where, give me a second, Trey Moran came and presented to you all, and this is the quote that they had to redo all our board policies.
Okay.
So that's the whole thing.
That's the whole thing. That's
Yes.
what we agreed to, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So you need approval to pay it.
yeah.
Is that being paid as services are rendered?
As soon as they complete so much, then they'll probably bill us for
Invoices for that
so,
much?
for example, when he spoke to you all, he said they'll do the whole, going through all the policies and seeing what they need to do first. And then that'll be a chunk of money, around 5 or 10 grand, and then the rest will be paid as we go through it together to see what we want to be updated, changes, all those nuances that need to go through the central office and you all to get the rest of it done. I don't know that we'll get it done in one school year, but if it goes into the fiscal year 22, had to think what year we're in, this is fiscal year 21, then we could pay part of it this fiscal year and pay the other part the next fiscal year. I'm not saying that'll happen. I don't know, because time will tell how quickly we can get through things. And I would be fine with it, honestly, if we can do it that way, because there's no hurry, and you know, it's been 40 years since some of these policies haven't been touched. I don't know what a few more months will hurt us, and let's be honest, it would be nice if we could have it split into 2 school years, or fiscal years, I should say.
He was gonna go through and get the ones we needed done first.
Yeah, he's getting those first, because those are a huge concern for all of us at this point in time, yes.
Now, we cannot approve the paying of the bill that goes into the next fiscal year, is that correct?
Right.
So.
We have to be very careful and watch that.
So, as this is presented, is there any chance that we are in violation of anything?
In violation of what? Paying in the next school year?
Yes.
No, what you would do is we would pay the bills because you approved for Bulls Rice this year. If they don't go over the 25, it's not a big deal.
Okay.
You would just approve it for the next school year, because this one would just run its course. You see what I mean?
So, at this time, you do not have, we're approving this, but you do not have an invoice charge us. We're not approving a specific invoice, are we?
No, we do not. The only thing will be invoiced right away would be the startup part, where they do like you just said, where they're looking at the ones that need it now.
Okay.
But it's a little convoluted, because I don't know it'll be 25,000. It might be 20. It just depends on how much work needs to be done at this point in time. We just went with the 25 because he said it wouldn't go over that in the report that he gave to you all, if you recall that.
Well, as long as you make it clear, we're not voting to approve the paying of a bill into the next fiscal year.
No, we are not. We
Okay.
can't do that. You're right.
We have, the one for the 25,000 under purchases over 20, and we have the Bowles Rice for 25,8125. Chair would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to pay Bowles Rice.
Second.
Motion on the floor, Mr. Andrews, second by Mr. McBride, that this board approve paying the bill to Bowles Rice and to purchase over 20,000 for Bowles Rice. Any discussion? I'll just add, we are not approving paying of anything in the next fiscal year. If there's no discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained. The minutes reflect that by a 5-0 vote in affirmative, this board has approved the paying of Bowles Rice LLP on the two presentations by the superintendent. That takes care of those bills. That brings us to new business, which is approved purchases over 20,000. And you have coal truck parts, transportation, and you have worldwide coming out of the transportation fund. Both of those are in the amount of 20,000. I'm assuming those are blanket purchase orders.
Yeah, with this school year being a little bit different than the traditional school year, we didn't spend as much money in the spring because, well, we were shut down because of COVID. Now business has picked back up, and we need to make sure we have blanket purchases so Brian doesn't have to wait on this to get it done in an orderly fashion. These two entities are what you've approved before in the past, so this is nothing new for you all, but it still needs to be approved for these blanket purchases.
Chair would move that this board approve purchases over 20,000 for both coal truck parts and worldwide, funding source being transportation. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion on the floor of the chair, second by Mr. McBride, that this board approve the central office request for $20,000 purchase coal truck parts and $20,000 purchase worldwide, coming from transportation source funds. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. 5-0 vote in affirmative, this board has approved the $20,000 purchase for coal truck parts and $20,000 for worldwide from the Transportation Source Fund. We already done the Bowles Rice. So that brings us to 5B under new business, approved to rescind job posting, inventory supervisor / bus operator mechanic assistant. Mr. Wardle, could you present that for us, please?
Yeah, this is the reason why we had the special board meeting. You have two postings in front of you. The first one, at least in my folder, is the incorrect one. It's the same on both of them on the front. But when you go to the back side, the second page, qualifications are all the same, responsibilities the same, supervision is still the same. The only thing we had to change because we would have had agreements filed against us because it was a wrong print for the first item, number one. The old one, the incorrect posting was the bus operator shall run his or her school bus over his or her established route or routes every day that the school is in session, according to his or her time schedule, picking up and discharging students at their designated stops. That can't happen because we were hiring for a different job. You can't do both. There's just no way. So we need to have you all rescind that, take that off, and repost the corrected one, which is in front of you. And the only difference is number one. Number one says be available as a bus operator for any bus runs that do not have any available driver or substitute as needed or in an unforeseen event. And talking with Howard Super with Bowles Rice, the attorney, he said this is the correct verbiage because now you have a separate job, and then whoever gets this job, then if that would open up that person's bus route, then we could fill that bus route. That's why we had to table these bus routes tonight to make sure we get it right, because you could have a convoluted mess with having to go all the way back to fix the problem that was created, because it's a domino effect. So whoever gets this position, if it is a bus driver that has the qualifications and passing the test, then that person would open up their bus route, and then we can now post that position. The person that had this position has been contacted, and we let him know what's going on. He understands, and we told him, well, if you guys rescind this and we put the new posting up starting tomorrow, he already says I'm in. That's not an issue. So that's where we are at this point in time. All parties know what happened. It was a mistake. Since I'm the superintendent, I'll take the blame for that. It's my fault, and that's on me. And we need to change that and make it right and get this done in a timely fashion. So the person that took the position, Mr. Thomas Cox, is that his name? I said that like I knew right away. I think because we've been talking a lot. To make it right to him, I told him, talking to Mr. Super, that we can continue to pay him at this rate until we figure out who the person is that takes this job. If he gets it, then he's not out any pay. Because if he wouldn't get it, we would still owe him back pay, and I'd rather just go in good faith right now. If he gets it, then it's smooth and we keep running forward. Howard Super says we can do that, but what we couldn't do is fill his position, because technically he's doing both, and the posting was incorrect. And again, I will take that fault, but what we'll do is you guys would rescind it, and then the new posting would be correct for that job, and then we'll move forward. Having said that, this position is being paid for the CARES Act. That's the source. And that would be for this school year. After that, if we continue with this, the CARES Act money doesn't last forever, guys. And so we have to see, does the county still want to operate this way? Will we have the money? Is this a better way of doing business at the bus garage? That's what we have to see at the end of the school year. So this is just for this fiscal school year that would end June 30th. That is the last day in June, right?
Okay.
There you go.
What would happen to this person that gets the job at the end of this school year? Is it
Well,
possibly be ripped?
what we have to do is go through RIF and transfer. But if we're seeing that it's working out well, and you all have good faith to move forward another school year, or we make this permanent, I would say at this point in time, talking to Brian and the crew, it sure really helps. Not to put Mr. McBride on the spot, but he was in that position before. It sure does help out having someone to, if we need a bus driver, that's a sub that's built in. We've already used him a few times already with that. Plus, to get the paperwork done, he's done an awful lot to clean up all our paperwork on our inventory. That helps out because you have a mechanic that's working in there, plus he can do mechanic work. We don't have enough hands on deck with all those buses that we gotta run. So it is a risk for him to take, it is.
If
But
we
there's
don't,
plenty of bus positions that'll be open, I guarantee you that.
but if we don't fund this position next year, he would go to the senior sub.
Yes, he would just go back in a bus driver.
Right.
And what he would do is with the seniority, it's the domino effect the other way now.
Right.
And that's what would happen. He's in a senior position right now. But if he was a younger person, I'd say that's a risk you're taking, you know? But if you have any other questions, I'll take them. And Mr. McBride, correct me if I'm wrong, you were in that building. You can check with Brian as you move through this and see how it works, and you can give me your
Well,
insight.
I can tell you that it'd be beneficial.
Okay. Well, I'd like your feedback as we move forward to see what you think.
Okay.
The CARES Act money is not gonna be there that long, guys. It's 2 years for that, and that we're burning through it like everybody else is.
The chair moves that item new business 5B, that this board approve to rescind job posting, inventory supervisor / bus operator / mechanic assistant. That's a motion.
I'll second.
Motion on the floor by the chair, second by Mr. Angel, that this board approve new business item 5B to approve to rescind job posting / inventory supervisor / bus operator / mechanic assistant. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining. 5-0 vote in the affirmative, the board has voted 5B to approve to rescind the job posting aforementioned. That brings us to new business item 5C, approved job description, and I'm assuming that's the job description on this handout that we have in our folder.
Yes.
If you wouldn't mind, Mr. Warble, would you read into the record that job description that we're going to vote on here?
Sure. The job description is basically the posting you just rescinded.
Okay.
It's right there, inventory supervisor / bus operator / mechanic assistant. That's exactly the same position you rescinded because of the wrong verbiage on that first one. You are now gonna post for that job again with the correct job description as to what they're gonna do.
Okay. The chair moves that this board approve the job description for posting, inventory supervisor, bus operator, mechanic assistant.
I'll say.
Motion on the floor of the chair, second by Mr. Brogan. What's your name? Okay, sorry. That this board approve for posting the job description, inventory supervisor, bus operator, mechanic assistant. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining. 5-0 votes in the affirmative, this board has approved the job posting of inventory supervisor, bus operator, mechanic assistant. That brings us forward to item 6, personnel items. It's employment service personnel. It's been posted on the agenda on our website and elsewhere. Board members have it in front of you. This is the superintendent's recommendation for these 3 positions. So the chair would entertain a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation.
I'll
All
second.
3.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor, Mr. Angel, seconded by Vice President Farley, that this board accept the superintendent's recommendation for employment and service personnel, the 3 bus operators that have been advertised on the agenda and you have before you now. Is there any discussion?
The only discussion I have is this is why we tabled it at the last Board of Ed meeting, was to get things right because of the one you just rescinded. So we are all good now with these postings and these people taking the job.
And we've also taken care of some insurance coverage needs for the individual.
Yeah, there was one bus driver that appreciates us that we had this special board meeting, so I appreciate you guys working with them to get them not only a job, but insurance. And
Okay.
so they'll be taken care of now, so thank you for that.
We're glad to do that. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect it was a 5-0 vote in the affirmative that this board approved the superintendent's recommendation on service personnel for the 3 bus operators previously advertised and posted on the agenda. Okay? That brings us to item 7, superintendent's report. Mr. Warble.
Last board meeting, Mr. Angel, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you asked a question about tiny house update. I
Yes,
said
sir.
we'd be able to do that tonight. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna yield to Mrs. Jones because some of the stuff that happened, I wasn't employed here, and we have more information to give you tonight. So I think one of the questions you had was $10,000 question?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we can give you all that. Oh, there she is. Sorry.
Is from here okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
I can hear you.
And can you, okay.
I'm gonna just present a timeline from the very beginning until today, so we can bring everybody up to date. September 2019, Mr. Hudgens, Barry Christ, and I attended a fall CTE conference in Morgantown. And we met with Dr. D'Antoni and expressed our concerns and desires for some funding for our carpentry class so they could build a new tiny house. So she liked our idea, however, she instructed us to have the carpentry class students, the simulated workplace, write a letter requesting these funds. And we had a senior that led this effort. His name was Jacob Metter. We recognized him one night at the board meeting. On October 16th, 2019, Bobcat Construction, which is the business name of our carpentry class, they were awarded a $10,000 grant by the State Department. January 17th, 2020, Bobcat Construction submitted their tiny house blueprints to the central office, and those were approved. January 23rd, 2020, at that board meeting, under the discussion and/or action to approve purchases over $5,000, the board approved the tiny house purchases of $10,000 for the tiny house supplies. February 12th, 2020, Bobcat Construction sends their requisition to 84 Lumber for tiny house supplies in the amount of $4,454.11. They sent that here to the board office, and then we processed the purchase order for them to get the supplies. In February 2020, Bobcat Construction begins work on the tiny house project. The foundation and flooring, the flooring base, has been completed, and it was worked on by Jacob Metter, the senior student, and his crew. In March of 2020, George Avis, which is our carpentry teacher, Charlie Mann, one of our maintenance men, and Alan Young, who owns a local business here that moves mobile homes and trailers, they met at the high school and discussed how they could move the existing old tiny house that's approximately 4 or 5 years old that the previous carpentry teacher had built. So they met to discuss ways that they could move that home to make room for this new tiny house to be constructed outside. March 12th, 2020, at the board meeting, we had a representative from the Solid Waste Authority, and we had CTE teachers George Avis and Kathy Duffield present to the board their ideas for the old existing tiny house. That was on March 12th. On March 13th, 2020, Governor Justice closed schools due to the rise in COVID-19 cases, and the new tiny house project has not been restarted. March 26th, 2020 board meeting, the board approved to give the tiny house to the CTE programs. On September 20th, or September 2020 to the present time, our Bobcat Construction students have been very busy working on projects, specifically projects that are helping our school system. We will be highlighting their efforts at the December 3rd board meeting. All lumber and supplies purchased back in February 2020 for this new tiny house project out of that $10,000 grant, those supplies and lumber are stored in the carpentry shop, and they're waiting for the project work to reopen. As of right now, George Davis has about 4 to 6 students with this Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday schedule. And as of today, the balance of that $10,000 grant that we have left to spend is $5,545.89.
Is that a use it or lose it deal?
The State Department allowed a lot of our grants to carry over due to the COVID, so we have carried that money over to use.
So that money is encumbered to the little house.
To the tiny house
Okay.
specifically, but yes, sir.
The only other thing I'd like for us to do is to have Mr. Davis do a monthly check on his materials, make sure they're still there, because we have had some stuff disappeared in the past, and that was before Mr. Davis came. So I don't want that stuff to disappear, because we don't wanna have to ante up stuff for that house.
We have cameras on that. He has cameras on it, that helps.
I have actually taken pictures.
Does that help you out with
of
your
the
report?
Yeah.
So you know the
Okay.
inventory then, Mr. Davis.
Okay.
That's fine, I just don't want it to disappear, so y'all
Yeah.
have enough to finish it up with.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Anything else, Mr. Angel, or
No,
anybody
that's
else want? Okay. Superintendent Warble?
The only thing else that I had, since it's a special meeting, was just to update you on something I update you on, and I'm getting tired of it like everybody else. It's called COVID fatigue. But COVID, we have a positivity rate of 18% in Raleigh County. That's really high, because I know at one point they wanted to keep it at 3 or lower, 3% that is, and now it's 18%. We have a lot of people that work in Raleigh County. We have a lot of people that shop in Raleigh County for groceries and other. And then today I was told we have 14 positive cases in Summers County, just today alone. I know we're in the green, but with those numbers that were tested positive today, that was no students or school officials, but that's still 14 in our community. Next week is the week of Thanksgiving, and so what I'm proposing to the board, you don't have to vote on it, but just want to inform you guys that it might be in the best interest to drop all the activities that we were thinking about doing next week. On Monday, we were looking at delivering food. I think it might be best to just say everybody stays home and works remotely from home, and that students are already going to do that anyway. It might be good on a Thanksgiving week to just, let's let things calm down a little bit. And then the following week, we can have everybody report back to the school building and work from their school and teach remotely there. So basically, we will still be able to work from home this next week and not do any delivery or activities that, socially move people in each other's bubbles. I don't know how else to call it, but just kind of relax a little bit, because if you have a positivity rate of 18%, and then our county has 14 just today, I honestly do not know how we're in the green, but that's what we're at. But I do know that I think we're asking for a little bit of trouble if we start mixing with people on Monday, even though it's a good effort and good intentions to deliver food to our students. It'd probably be best just to call it a week and work from home and just leave it at that.
I would say, in a year that's been anything but normal. And given the fact that in Raleigh County, 18% of the people who are testing positive, and in view of the fact that the governor had said we would have remote learning the week after Thanksgiving, am I correct?
Yeah.
I would say based on that this is an opportunity for us to take a little extra precaution. And there's another thing I think it does. The week of Thanksgiving, this is going to be a Thanksgiving unlike any that most of us have known, I guess. But maybe our personnel being off that week because of this increasing COVID crisis, that maybe that gives everybody a chance to feel maybe a little bit normal for that week where we normally take off. So I know we don't have to vote on it, but I think that that's a good move, and people can now do for that week what they've typically done in the past, and it's an opportunity to shelter away from any mixing that might increase this COVID. I'm looking forward to the vaccine, as we all are, and looking forward to a time where we get back to normal. Hopefully that's going to be sooner than later. But I think that's a good move, Mr. Warble, and I appreciate it. Any other board members have any comments you want to make?
No, I agree.
Okay. All right.
I can, after the board meeting, Ken and I will do the all-call to our staff. The parents, they're already remote. It's our staff that needs to know that, because we had planned to work with our bus garage to get food delivered and our cooks. I will say this much though, next week our cooks will have to come in and get food for the week, but what I would let them know is we'll just give them like next Friday off the following Friday. Because we already have Thursday and Friday off as a holiday, because the governor said Thursday and Friday are off, but what we'll do is, to make it right to our cooks, to give them off the following Friday, which, is that the 3rd or 4th? December 4th, I think. Not that you guys have to vote on that, I just want you to know that we gotta make it right for them, because they'll be coming in. The other people we gotta make it right for is, when you do take that time off, time doesn't stop for people to get paid. So we gotta work with Kayla and Lauren and Amanda. If they come in, then I would like to swap them out that time too, because let's be honest, next week we have to do payroll. I think everybody would really notice missing a check during Thanksgiving, and most people are shopping for Christmas and whatever else. Unless you're like some people, there's quite a few people looking for ammunition and guns and all that kind of stuff to get a deer or two, so.
Appreciate you telling us that.
Yeah.
That's daily operation under your purview. And
Yeah.
I think the board supports
We'll just work it out
your
with them.
judgment on that.
Yeah.
Students will be remote Monday, Tuesday.
The students will be remote, yes.
We have teachers that do not have internet access.
If they do not, they can always come into the building and work. The building can, but, you know, let's do this. If we keep asking questions, you're gonna make me answer more. And I'm trying to say that next week has Thanksgiving in it, and just leave it at that.
And so I just want to be clear.
Did that answer your question, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
He
So,
gets it. Do you need help with that?
So, Mr. Warble, as I understand it, then, next week, Thanksgiving week, we'll have some sense of normalcy based on what we've been doing in the past.
Yep.
And this will include all of our employees in the system.
Yes.
With the exceptions that you noted, and you're going to make sure that you compensate them in some way.
We'll make it right.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm good with that. I think that's a good solution.
Don't
I
ask more
agree.
questions.
I agree, and just want to take the opportunity to also thank you and your staff, all the schools, for the job, Mr. Lester, everybody for the job that they're doing. It's not an easy time to be doing.
Well, and you know, the thing that's really bothering me the most is we have students in this room, and they just want to get back to normalcy. And I know one of them back there helped me with weed eating, and he's an ornery cuss, but I gotta say, he needs to go to school 5 days a week, because he's got energy out the wazoo. And our kids really just need to be with their teachers, but we can't do it at a point where we cause more harm. But I think we got a lot of energy in the back room there. We just enjoy next week. That's all I want to say. And don't ask any more questions.
Okay, is there anything else from the superintendent?
No, I'm done. I'll shut up.
Ms. Farley, you're on.
Make a motion to adjourn, the time is